Hey guys, welcome back to another Halloween video. Now this is the second to last of the Lemax Spooky Town 2019 reviews that I'm going to be doing. And for my second to last one, I'm going to be talking about the new for 2019 Lemax Spooky Town Dr. Pins and Needles. Alright guys, so here is the box, of course. It has the actual building right there. Then we turn it over to the side. As you can see, it has a little interior scene right there. As what it's showing right there. There is no real animation on this building. There is, however, a little bit of dynamic lighting. So, with that said, let's get into the actual building, shall we? Alright, guys, so when it comes to Spooky Town, each year there's usually, I'd say, 2 highlight buildings, right? It's been like that for the past couple years, and there's usually 2 that really get everyone's attention. Like, last year, I'd say it was probably the Symphony of Screams and the Wasteland Pub. And this year, I'd say it's the Graveyard Party and the Pumpkin Tilt and Hurl. But another thing is, quite a few years they have a lot of overshadowed buildings that are really cool, but they don't get talked about as much because they're not as spectacular per se. But they deserve to be talked about because of how awesome they are. Like, for example, last year I think that the most underrated piece was the Hollowgraves Manor, and this year I definitely say is Dr. Pins and Needles. Alright, so as you can see here, just take a look at this, guys. Look at how cool this is. This is a very, very intimidating looking building. Now, it isn't super scary, I'd say, but if Spooky Town was real, this would be one of the buildings in the actual Spooky Town that I'd want to stay clear of. As you can see, it is very, very threatening looking, but the detail on it's fantastic. So, of course, you have the skull door right there, the skeletons right there with the skull archway, and then you have like these little skull holders underneath the windows right there, and then of course you have the interior scene with the doctor that's working on the Frankenstein monster, I guess, with a little background image, and then of course you have the big skull at the top with the big tattoo guns on there. It's strange that they're tattoo guns considering that it's not a tattoo piece, it's just like a doctor's office, a chiropractor if you will. And speaking of which, probably the most notable thing about this piece outside of the skull are the 2 spinal cords on the side, which do light up, and this is an amazing building lit up, and you guys will definitely want to see that when I show it. Alright, so as I said, the lighting on this building is, again, it's spectacular. The spines right there, they'll actually light up green with these little lights right there. The interior scene will light up, it's like a white light inside. There's an orange light right there that'll shine on the door, and the skull up there, these lights will actually, there's lights in the skull, and they will actually pulsate. Again, really, really cool. I mean, this is like, you know, I mentioned how in the Graveyard Party review, how that building reminds me a lot of old school Spooky Town. Well, this one also gives off that same vibe with just how detailed and how girthy it is. This is a girthier building. It's not like some of the other Lemax Spooky Town buildings in recent years, which feel very plasticky and kind of chintzy, if you will. This feels like a very, very high-quality building, and so I give it very mad props for that. Alright, so the theming of this building, of course, this would go in, like, your more hellish, I guess, type of town, like with your Reaper Motorcycle Company and your Broken Skull Bar. Those buildings came out a couple years ago. Particularly, though, I think that this is an amazing companion piece to the long-retired and infamous Dr. Stretch and Pull's Torture Factory, which I know for a lot of people is, and mine included, it's one of their favorite buildings. Now, I've actually never talked about Dr. Stretch and Pull's on this channel before, even though I do have one. I don't think I'm going to talk about it because a ton of people have already reviewed it, and their thoughts are pretty much the same as mine. But if you want to know my brief thoughts on it, I think it's amazing. It's one of the best for a reason. You know, it's got the high marks for a reason, right? And again, I think that this is an amazing companion piece to it. Alright guys, that pretty much concludes actually how I feel about Dr. Pins and Needles. This is definitely my pick for the underdog building of the year. Again, it won't get everyone's attention, but it sure does deserve it because this is a spectacularly detailed and lit building. So, yeah guys, thank you guys so much for watching. For my next review, and actually my final brand new for Lemax Spooky Town 2019 review, we're going to go to the Trick or Treat Village, and we're going to head to the Pumpkin Patch. So thank you guys so much for watching, and here is Dr. Pins and Needles all lit up.